Good morning, boys. Just want to talk to you about some of the work that you're going to be doing today. Firstly, you need to have done the work on desert landforms. There's some sheets that you should have been given that will that you need to go through and just have a look at the text and some of the PowerPoints I've shown you, etc., just to check out what the landforms are and how they form, etc., which I've already gone through in the previous video. Okay, today we're looking at desert ecosystems. They're, a lot of people think, well, it's a desert, there's no water, it's really hot or really cold, so there's not going to be any life there. Well, that's totally wrong, because there's actually a lot of life there, and there's a lot of species that are very highly adapted to those conditions, but they have to be able to survive very, very harsh conditions. So there's the extremes of temperature, there's not a lot of food available, and there's not, of course, much water available, so they have to be evolved in such a way that they're adapted to those very harsh conditions. I mean, if you have a look at something like a camel, you'll see that they've got a lot of adaptations, and there's one of the sheets that you're getting will show you some of those. Reptiles are particularly well adapted to desert conditions because they're endothermic, which means cold-blooded, which means they need the sun to heat them up. But they don't require much food, they don't require much water because they don't have to make their own heat. So lizards and snakes, a lot of species survive really, really well in the desert. So there's all sorts of adaptations that they have. This is the definition of an ecosystem. System formed by the interaction of living organisms, plants, animals and humans. It should also say that it's actually interactions of the non-living as well. So that's what that's called, is biotic for living and abiotic for non-living. It just says physical elements, so that's what they mean by the non-living. Same thing. Okay, so one of the things that they have to have is being able to find ways to stay cool. So, for example, birds, they get in the shade, or they'll drift in cool thermals way up above the hot areas. Desert animals quite often burrow during the day because only a few centimetres below the surface it's a lot cooler. So there's a lot of things that they do. You can read about those and staying cool. Food and water. There are large desert animals. There's actually, you can find in Africa, there are actually elephants that live in desert areas. So they have to find, most of the animals are herbivores. There's not that many carnivores that you'll find. And a lot of animals get the moisture from the plants they eat, which is pretty cool. So plant survivors, they do a couple of things. There's perennials, and they're plants that have a very short life cycle. Oh, sorry, no, longer. The perennials, they remain. So ephemerals, what they do is that they have a very short life cycle. I've got them mixed up, and they only come out when it's rained, and they have a really short life cycle and just go through all that. They germinate, flower, get pollinated, produce seeds, and drop the seeds onto the ground in a very, very short time. Okay, perennials are there all the time, but they're very highly adapted. They'll have really, really deep roots to get to the water, and or they'll be things like cactuses which store the water, succulents. So they have all sorts of things to help them survive. This is just showing you an ecosystem with some of the things in the ecosystem in North America. So our deserts are a bit different. Our deserts are all different around the world. And these are just some of the animals and plants you find in North America. So just read through that. And then these are the questions you need to do. So you need to do the understanding, thinking, applying, and copy this, or you can see if you can copy and paste it and write in there. I think you can do that. Okay, very good. Talk to you later.